Okay, so I want to go back to uh, on Trump's insanity of talking about using ultraviolet heat or sunlight or something to tackle the virus, and his other complete la la land to the point of completely demented idea of using household cleaners to fight the infection. And I meant to mention this before on the video. There was that Tide Pod challenge. And there were people that actually did it. Now, this goes to show how stupid people are. And so, because people are so goddamn stupid, for somebody who's the president of the United States doing this, that should bring felony criminal charges against him. Then there's the media, such as the New York Times, who puts out this thread of kind of defending, as what Trump said was as a sarcasm or a joke or something like that. And then they put out another thread on Twitter saying, but New York Times wasn't the only one to do that sort of crap. But New York Times was more egregious. Basically insinuating that experts in the healthcare, some of them were legitimating what Trump said. And then New York Times put out a Twitter thread saying there are no experts who endorse this. And it's like, that's criminal felony charges. That should revoke any legitimacy in the New York Times. Do you understand how insane that is? Oh, and on my previous video, I said, it'd be like going, suntanning machine every day for hours upon hours, like 12 hours. But it was something else I wanted to say, but I blanked on it at the time. And what that whole thing with Trump, you're saying using high ultraviolet rays and so on and so forth. Basically, what he's was basically what he was trying to suggest is that we become microwavable items for to be tossed in a microwave, because that's what it comes to. Using microwaves or high amounts of radiation. I did mention that about chemotherapy and so on and so forth in that other video. But are we food items? You see all the evidence of where you put things in, and it doesn't have to be just metal, but like you can put in an egg and put it on, and it'll explode the egg. It's beyond stupidity. It's beyond irresponsible. It is criminal felony. This is the sort of shit that the Nazis did, and not just the Nazis. The U.S. has done stuff with Agent Orange, testing it, using it, and testing it on U.S. troops, using it in the battlefield in Vietnam. The examples of the sheer. Okay, I'm going far afield. Oh, last thing I want to talk about. Nathan from the Current Affairs. From Current Affairs magazine. He just did a video about Autopsy of Bernie campaign. And the thing is what Bernie should have done after 2016, and knowing what happened in 2016. And Jimmy Dore does a great job of covering all the things that showed is Bernie's unwillingness to really be serious, and how he was trying to play this both sides game in a naive and basically kind of callous way to try to get into the office of the presidency. And anybody who follows Jimmy is he does a good enough amount of research and looking into it, so it becomes that people that look at Jimmy and watch Jimmy can with relative confidence know that he's not peddling any BS. And if he does make a mistake, Jimmy will correct it, and so on and so forth. And that's what honesty and truth is about. I try to do the same thing when I'm on here. I don't always, because you know what? Ultimately, in the end, if you follow me, you know that I always try to correct, and I eventually do. But I'm a real person, and I have a lot of things running through my mind, a lot of things that I have to do, a lot of emotional and other stuff that this society, this thing we call society and politics keeps me occupied, and I'm constantly working to clarify and get a better working understanding of the issues, how to tackle those issues, find possible solutions, and that's my entire goal in doing these videos. So as for the moratorium on how Bernie lost. Bernie lost because Bernie didn't take the adversarial position, an aggressive adversarial position, based on telling truths and facts, based on understanding that there are no friends in the establishment, not in those he works with, and most certainly not in the media. I'm all for being anti-racist. I'm all for being anti-bigoted. I'm all for being being for the working public, which most of us are, who keep this country and this community going that we call country, who are the backbone, who are the foundation, who make everything, who come up with everything. So I'm all for that, but you can't get change. You can't get significant change with just thinking about the wrongs and reiterating these wrongs that a lot of people know about and accept that yes, there is racism. Yes, there's inequality. Yes, there is this, there is that. But give us the policies to change that. Show us the roadmap on how to get to that. Stand up for it. And Trump did that. He pointed out all this. He was complete bullshit, and the fact that he was already one of the establishment crooks even before he got into politics. He came into that world because his family was that way. And I always make this comment that, you know, when you're born, you're brought in, and you're basically taught and molded to be that way. And so, you know, when I talk about metaphorical jails and putting ourselves into metaphorical enslavement and bondage, that's what I'm talking about. So, and Trump used all of the things that address the anger, the frustration, but he had never intended to do anything about it. Bernie, I feel I can honestly say that Bernie had by some miracle he had gotten into office. I honestly feel that he would have tried to get it done, but you know, I keep saying, one man is not an island. One man cannot change things. One person cannot change this. One woman cannot change it. Bernie did a lot of things wrong. He kept on calling those people in Congress co-workers. He kept on calling Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, and all these friends. My good friend. He kept on saying they can win. He kept on saying they're good people. They're not. He should have taken an adversarial position based on truth, based on the record, based on things that they've done, that they've said in public, and those that they've done in private, but have a record. That's what he should have done. He should have gone into it in 2020 of, I'm torching the system. I'm torching the Democrats. I'm torching the Republicans. I'm torching the media. I'm torching this so-called government, because they are the adversaries. They are the adversaries of the people. That is the way he should have gone into it, because that is what drove Trump to win. It was that sentiment and the implicit threat behind it that the Republican and the conservatives and the right do so well. They put an implicit threat. But here's the thing. There are more independents and more Democrats who are for the policies that Bernie espoused. There are Republicans who are for the policies that Bernie brought to light. There are those on the right who are harder right wing, but they don't have the solid ideology that of race. They can be swayed if you address the policies and bring about changes in policies that will relieve and address their anger, their and all that, the things that drive them. And Bernie had the chance, and like Nathan talked about Warren. You know what? Warren is a non-issue. Klobuchar is a non-issue. Biden is a non-issue. Reason why? Because if you take the position, this is the same thing that the Tea Party, but the Tea Party was the same way as Trump. They said a lot of things that address the anger and frustration, but they didn't. Bernie had a chance. And Bernie was told by those who were advising with good intent, true intent, not this disingenuous, false intent, or this confused, false, good intent. We found that Bernie had kicked out those ones who were more in touch, who understood, because they were the ones who early on were the ones that were pushing what he was doing in 2016. We find that most of those who worked on his in his campaign hierarchy didn't come over in 2020, and the few that and a few new ones that took over that were in there were pushed out for more establishment friendly types. It was Bernie's chance to champion and to represent and to lead and to take the consideration. But Bernie didn't. And that's the thing. Bernie did not. He was looking after his own skin. He was concerned about what his wife and his family brought to his attention, rather than the people he kept on talking about. He was, rather than those people that were giving him money who really couldn't afford it, or trying to find time to campaign for him, even though they really there were much more important things that they could have been doing in their own personal lives. They worked tirelessly, selflessly, to find the time, knowing that that time, if Bernie won, would be invaluable, that it would make changes in the lives of their family and friends, that it would impact their children and their neighbors and friends in a more solid, concrete way. And they sacrificed. And Bernie betrayed all that. He betrayed all that. So it was Bernie listening and filling his campaign with the disingenuous, That is why Bernie lost. Because Bernie did not stick to his principles. Bernie caved. Bernie did a 180 on his principles. Bernie became more self-centered. Bernie was the one that lost the campaign. Bernie is the one who betrayed the movement. Bernie did not have the movement. Bernie had nothing without the movement, and the movement was us. And he betrayed us. He betrayed us. He lost because Bernie would not stand for us as we were standing for him. So, what's the autopsy? The autopsy is Bernie screwed us. And the other autopsy is, it is sad, it is pathetic, it is criminal felony that we need a Bernie who will not stick to the principles of the movement. That is a sad fact, the truth. That we, the many, must rely on a Bernie who gave us false hope, false everything. He might have given us policy ideas, but those weren't new. They have been around for a long time. And the core of this is, it is up to us, the movement. It is up to us, the community. It is up to us to see to the change and seed the change. Again, seed the change. All right, thank you.